जय हिंद, जय भारत एंड वेलकम टू डेफ टॉक्स। दिस इज आदि अचिंत। हमारे साथ हैं राजा मुनीब साहब, जो कहीं ना कहीं एक बड़ी जबरदस्त खबर के बारे में बात करेंगे। देयर इज अ लॉट व्हिच इज हैपनिंग इन पाकिस्तान दैट वी नीड टू ट्रैक। हम लोग नॉर्मली ओवरऑल बात कर रहे थे, बट आई थिंक इट्स टाइम वी नीड टू गेट इनटू अ लिटिल मोर स्पेसिफिक्स। काफी चीजें हो रही हैं। नमस्कार सर, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर टेकिंग आउट द टाइम।
नमस्कार सर, थैंक यू फॉर हैविंग मी वंस अगेन।
थैंक यू सर,
इट्स माय प्लेजर।
ये बताओ यार, पहले तो बलूचिस्तान इज वन थिंग, देयर इज नो क्वेश्चन, बट लेट्स स्टार्ट फ्रॉम द नॉर्थ। आई वांट टू टॉक अबाउट दैट आर्मी ऑफिसर यार। उसको तो उठा लिया तुमने, उसके बाद वीडियो निकाल दिए। TTP has kidnapped a lieutenant colonel of the Pakistani army. उसको उठा के लेके गए हैं, बाय द वे, 3-4 लोगों के साथ। And after that, not even that, they've actually put a gun to his head and made him shoot a video.
So they have taken him. They have taken the other chap who is his brother, who's the head of Nadra, and then one more chap. So these guys were basically, attending the funeral of their father in KP. They come from that district. When the TTP guys came and wrapped them up and took them around. So now they have some demands, and today the video has come out saying that एक तो social media पे शोर मत डालो, family members को उसने बोला, दूसरा he has told the Pakistani government कि you listen to the demands and you talk to them, otherwise we know what is going to happen. So tells you how bad things in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa are. इसके बारे में हम 1000 बार बात कर चुके हैं कि majority of the control of KPK is with TTP. Whether the world acknowledges, whether people acknowledge, but what is happening on the ground is that TTP is in absolute control. Now, TTP is not only in control, in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa niche wala region, but they are now excessively also in control in South Waziristan. They tried to launch an operation 4-5 दिन पहले in South Waziristan. SSGs को उन्होंने भेजा था, उसमें इनका they lost about 7 members. उसमें वो captain भी था एक, who was injured and then died, right? And another 12 were injured. But that is what is happening in KPK, and looks like the Pakistani army is really stretched in a sense कि ना उनसे KPK संभल रहा है, ना उनसे बलूचिस्तान संभल रहा है। रियलिटी है।
बलूचिस्तान में आपने एक ऑपरेशन में एक पूरी कंपनी उड़ा दी इनकी। 130 बंदे is not a small amount of people.
The timing is what matters. Because if you remember, the day this operation has happened in Balochistan, this is the biggest attack in Balochistan on Pakistani army, by the way, right? And the day this happened, so same day, Asim Munir was in a meeting with the PLA chief, ground commander, जो उनका फैजाव क्या नाम है उसका, ली जाओमिंग, उसके साथ बैठा था. So the day he has given Chinese commander representation कि हमने fund allocate किया है और हमने बलूचिस्तान में इतने मारे हैं, he gave all that jing-jang कि हम ये कर रहे हैं और हम secure कर रहे हैं. The same day, Pakistanis take the worst casualties they could in Balochistan. And not only that, आप ये देखो कि इन्होंने ये operation किया कैसे. It's a military style operation. They cut off different parts. They blew up a bridge. Acha, there is a very much similarity of what happened in Bannu attack and this attack. जो लसबला में हुआ, जो बाला में हुआ बलूचिस्तान, तो उधर भी वो 2 ट्रक लेकर घुसे थे, सुसाइड बॉम्बर का ट्रक लेकर घुसे, उसके बाद दूसरा ट्रक लेकर घुसे, फिर दूसरे ट्रक को भी उड़ाया. सेम मोडस ऑपरेंडी हैपेंड इन बाला. दे गॉट इन विद अ सुसाइड बॉम्बर. दैट वाज दैट लेडी, वो लड़की जो चला रही थी, महंग बलोच. शी ब्लू अप. देन द अदर व्हीकल फॉलोड. दे गॉट डाउन. दे टुक कंट्रोल एंड द अदर व्हीकल ब्लू अप एज वेल. And then jitni bhi reinforcements aa rahi thi, they engaged them en route and they started taking them out. Not only that, they also took out that civilian convoy jisme inhone shor machaya ki hamare 23 bande maar diye, which is not true. All 23 are not civilians. उसमें कई FC वाले थे जो छुट्टी से वापस कैंप पे घर आ रहे, right? तो वो भी काउंट होंगे. And there is a list which is there, which says कि मरा कौन है और शहीद कौन है. सो पाकिस्तानी देखो आप कैसे हैं, जो सिविलियन है वो मर गया है, जो फौजी है वो शहीद है. उन्होंने वो एक लिस्ट है बनाई है. I had आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही सर. I can't hear you.
पंजाबी आईडी देख के ठोके हैं यार लोगों ने.
हाँ, सो पंजाबी आईडी सबके निकाल के they targeted the Punjabis and they took them out. So, and what has happened is, what I've heard from my sources in Pakistan is that this general was supposed to stay in Pakistan for 3 days.
Mhm.
But after the attack, they have just packed up their bags and they left.
China is bye bye.
What else? During the day, you were feeding them till evening. You were feeding them this mithai, this lollipop of how the security is working, how they have reinforced everything in Balochistan, how CPEC is going to be secured, how they are doing the counter-terrorism operations. इन्होंने वो पुराने वीडियो दिखाए होंगे उनको हेलीकॉप्टर के कि हम कैसे कर रहे हैं, हमें कितने मारे हैं, राइट? तो इन्होंने आप ये देखो ना कि and how they went about it. So when the operation started, the Balochi started the operation. इन्होंने बोला कि हमने 5 मारे हैं. 5 BLA attackers have been killed.
Actually, दो
In
मारे
less
थे.
than 1 hour, नहीं, ठीक है, I agree 5 मारे थे. In less than 1 hour, the number raised to 70. They said in all over Balochistan, we have killed 70. Right? In less than 1 hour. It all happened in about 50, 55 minutes that their account started saying 70, 70, 70. And the moment they started saying 70, I knew they are counting their own dead bodies and calling them as terrorists. Because even the most conservative Pakistani analysts started coming on Twitter and saying that the photographs you are posting is the old photographs of your operations, but what the Balochis are posting is something which is happening there right now. So then they stop tweeting and all that. I know one very conservative account who usually doesn't tweet like this, but he also tweeted saying that ये Pakistani army जो photos डाल रही है ये तो पुरानी photos हैं, ये तो old photographs हैं. So by the time they took the hit, the operation went on to the second day. The Chinese packed their bag and they left. Now the problem is, what is Pakistani army going to do? Because that meeting was after they had allocated a budget of 60 billion rupees, so-called 60 billion rupees, right? I am pretty sure इन्होंने Chinese को चूना लगाया और उनसे पैसा लिया. और इन्होंने उसका वो एक presentation बनाकर दिखाया होगा कि हम कितने better हो रहे. And once they got beaten, this is the worst defeat of Pakistan in Balochistan. It seems like Pakistan has lost control in Balochistan and in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa.
That's what the kind of hate that has happened. और इन लोगों ने मेरे हिसाब से this is something that I've been thinking about since yesterday. जब से ये hit हुआ है कि it looks like a practice. यार अगर इस एरिया को ऑक्यूपाई करना है हमको तो क्या क्या चाहिए होगा, तो जरा ठीक है एक काम करो 2 दिन के लिए ऑक्यूपाई करो, सी व्हाट हैपेंस इन दैट प्लेस, व्हाट डू यू नीड, क्या ऑपरेशनल तुमको प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, उसको नोट डाउन करो, कम बैक, वी विल डिस्कस हाउ टू डील विद दोस प्रॉब्लम्स, सिविलियंस के साथ क्या कम्युनिकेशन होनी चाहिए, रोडवेज कैसे मेंटेन करने हैं, फूड सप्लाईज कैसे आएगी. सी व्हेन यू ओनली होल्ड अ प्लेस तब आपको अकल आती है. ठीक है,
This is very true, and this is
मेरे हिसाब
not.
से दिस इज अ क्लियर कट प्रैक्टिस हैपनिंग.
And this is not a practice. You are absolutely right. And this is not. I agree with you, because this is not a practice which is only happening in Balochistan. They did the same in Tira Valley last year. They held on to it for good 5-6 days. They cut them off completely. They did the same in Banu. They cut them off completely. They cut off their supplies completely. They took control of the area. They did the same in Balochistan, and they are doing the same in Waziristan.
Yeah, they hold a place for 2-3 days, they fight there, they kill a lot of these chaps, and then this one just put out a statement that our operation is done, and they go back.
They pack up and they leave. The point is, if they are able to do this in a 2 days operation, if Pakistani forces are, falling like a pack of cards, 100 plus is not a small amount, right? So what happens when actually the game is played? And when they come to take control permanently, then the casualty figures are going to be 10 to 20 times higher.
Yeah, obviously.
Because then they are there to stay. They will clear up the entire area. They will not even leave a single guy out. And they will cut off all the reinforcements which are coming from the rest of the Pakistani garrisons. So this seems like a very good wargaming they are doing on actual wargaming kar rahe hain ye log, of making sure ki what they are doing. Acha, in Balochistan also, if you remember the last attack where Pakistan lost about 26 of its soldiers, the Balochis took out that post and they stayed there. That post is with the Balochis. The Pakistanis never went back to occupy that post. It is still being manned by the Balochi guys.
वो तो यार इतनी सारी पोस्ट होंगी. I mean, if you start north to south, posts are like every 100 meters, 200 meters posts होती है. तो अभी आप,
हाँ, but
mini posts and major posts will be about 30, 50 kilometers apart, 100 kilometers apart. I don't know what the layout of the Pakistani army is,
हाँ,
but fair enough, I can take that. The point is, आप इनके main supply routes काट रहे हो. तुर्बत वाला road is the main thing. I mean, तुर्बत यार. तुर्बत से पंजगोर, तुर्बत, ये 2 towns are the most important towns. इसके ऊपर अगर रेगुलर अटैक आ रहे हैं तो सदर्न बलूचिस्तान तो गया आपका.
मैं वही कह रहा हूँ ना,
कहाँ गया?
वो भी जो है,
वही
वो
नहीं.
अटैक भी जो है वो तुर्बत, वो अटैक भी तुर्बत के ऊपर हुआ था, बिटवीन पंजगोर एंड तुर्बत के बीच में हुआ था. द पॉइंट आई एम ट्राइंग टू मेक इज, इवन इफ यू आर 30 or 40 kilometers away, how come you can, as a professional army, how can you give up your post to the insurgents for good? What does that signify? Why don't you take it back? Why are you not able to take it back? That is how hard it is for the Pakistanis to get back to these areas and to try to reclaim, because they are fear that it will trigger a larger attack and they will be bogged down fighting for next 3, 4, 5 days and take huge casualties. One. Two, they are not prepared to go into that area. The forces are not prepared to go into that area. So if they are trying to cut this whole thing out, then there is trouble, because now what is interesting is that the Saudis are coming in with the deco rig. They are buying 15 or 20% stake out of deco rig, which is 50% is with the Canadian Barrick के साथ, एक Barrick Gold के पास है. Rest is with with Balochistan government के पास around 15% है. नहीं, 25%, हाँ 15% है शायद. And then it's few agencies of Pakistani these things who have some. And now Pakistan is diluting. Basically, Pakistan is going to lose its stake on deco rig. Now the Balochis are saying that it's a sellout. They are trying to sell out Balochistan to Pakistan, to Saudi Arabia, and to foreign powers. Because now the Pakistanis are desperate for money. So $1 billion is what the deal is going through be.
यार ये ना मेरे को पता नहीं. आई डोंट नो, बिकॉज सो मेनी टाइम्स सऊदी हैज सेड मैं आ रहा हूँ, उसके लास्ट में नहीं आता. इनको मतलब वो लिटरली हाथ में ठंडाई लेके खड़े होते हैं एयरपोर्ट पे रिसीव करने के लिए. लास्ट मिनट ही से मैं नहीं आ रहा. आई डोंट नो, दैट्स जस्ट व्हाट हैज बीन हैपनिंग अभी तक. एंड डू यू थिंक सऊदी इज रियली इंटरेस्टेड इन पाकिस्तान राइट नाउ? क्योंकि विद द शिट व्हिच इज हैपनिंग इन मिडिल ईस्ट राइट नाउ, इस टाइम पे एमबीएस की तरफ से स्टेटमेंट भी आया, भैया देयर आर थ्रेट्स टू मी आल्सो because I'm trying to do what I'm trying to do.
But look at the bigger picture. No, you have the Canadians who own 50%. You have Saudis who will own another 20-25%. Right? You have basically cut Pakistan off as a partner. You take the area, then what happens?
But that's Pakistan is still there.
And what
Canada is still there.
So Canada is still there. Na? Then that is what I'm saying. Canada and Saudi Arabia. Who is the one who provides security to Canada and Saudi Arabia? Who would they rely on heavily?
Americans?
Uncle Sam.
Nasty game, huh? But मेरे को ये बताओ, I mean, see the impact on an army. आप जो भी कह लो यार, तुम लड़ रहे हो, मर रहे हो, फिर भी है, फौज में मरना is a matter of pride है. ठीक है, अपने देश के लिए मर रहे हो, it's a matter of pride, and a lot of armies take it as a, look at the sacrifices we are giving, and even the Pakistani army puts that in their people कि भाई हम देखो इतना हमने क्या शहादतें दी हैं इस देश के लिए and all that stuff. Having said that,
that pride is not there in India.
Now, the numbers are too high.
These buggers don't have any pride.
I know you hate them, but
these people have no pride. No, I'll tell you why, and I have a very logical answer to it. In any battlefield, when your man falls, you'd never leave him there. The Pakistanis have a history of leaving their men behind and running away. Whether it was in the 71 Bangladesh war where they en masse surrendered, whether it was in Kargil, where literally dogs were feeding on their bodies, and then the Indian Army provided, them with the rightful funeral. Whether it is in Balochistan, whether it is in KPK, every time they lose men, they don't own it. They never own that their men are dead. How do we come to know? We come to know from social media, from Facebook, local Facebook accounts, which report कि हमारे गांव का लड़का मर गया, ये FC में था, ये वहां से था. Pakistani army never owns its men. That is the problem with them.
That's the saddest part. But the
So
point
how do I believe?
that is you and
So
me
it's very difficult to believe them. No, it's very difficult.
That's you and me understanding it. The average Pakistani on the road is a moron. Sorry, but average guy, huh? There'll be, I'm sure, some guys with a brain and stuff like that. But the average guy is a bloody moron. उनको तो यही दिखता है ना, हमारे पास एटमी असासे हैं, हम भारत को टुकड़ों में बांध. This is what you hear on the road.
हाँ ठीक है, दैट्स फाइन. बट जो आम आदमी है सड़क पर, वो आज ये सोचता होगा ना कि ये पाकिस्तानी आर्मी के लिए उसको सिंपैथी क्यों होगी, क्योंकि वो तो जाके केपीके में इस्लाम के खिलाफ लड़ रहे हैं. Right. So why would a Pakistani, why does establishment, why does establishment is so unpopular?
Yeah.
Why are they all Ameriki, now why are they also Ameriki backed people? They are seen as, Marduds. Yeah, Munafiks. Most of the radicalized are calling Pakistani army the Munafik.
Yeah.
ये मुनाफिक हैं, ये मुसलमान है ही नहीं, right? So why would they have any sympathy for the Pakistani soldiers? The only ones who have sympathy for the Pakistani soldiers are the Punjabis. And that is not because they have sympathy for the soldiers, that is because they have inherent hatred towards Pathans and towards Baloch.
Awesome. Let's come to that.
It is because...
Let's come to that. One of the biggest challenges the Baloch will have, BLA, इतने बंदे नहीं है यार लड़ने के लिए इनके पास, पूरा एरिया ऑक्यूपाई करने के पास. Question is the TTP now going to get more involved in Balochistan?
There is a very interesting statement which has come from Hassanullah Hassan, the ex-TTP state minister,
बताइए.
who has told Pashtuns that if you want to learn nationalism, learn from Balochis. And this statement has come today.
That's interesting.
That's a very interesting statement he has made today, saying that if you want to learn nationalism, learn it from the Baloch. And he has specifically told Pashtuns this.
That's interesting. Very interesting.
So basically, that is an indication that the way Balochis are, involving themselves in smelling victory and coming out, the average Pashtun national needs to do the same thing against the Pakistan. That is basically inciting the Pashtuns to join more and more against Pakistan. That is opening up the rift.
The Baloch.
They're already helping the Baloch. Without TTP support, where has Balochistan got all this training from? Baloch people, PLA has got all this training from. Where has all these night visions, where have they come from? We all know this all is coming from TTP. So it is TTP within the ranks of BLA who's training them, who's recruiting for them, and who's carrying out operations under them.
Now, see, that's what I'm saying. Now, we know that about 6 months ago, we discussed this on the platform also. इनकी दोनों की meeting हुई थी, Baloch BLA वालों की और TTP वालों की, where they decided to kind of work together. As a matter of fact, GDI जो बंदा है इसका अफगानिस्तान का, GDI is their kind of raw equivalent sort of a thing. That guy, basically, the second in command is a Baloch himself. Okay, so there is that connection also there. Now the point is, what do you see going forward in the next 1-2 months? Do you think these kind of radical attacks will continue, or they'll come for now? इन्होंने काफी करे हैं ये. Will they come for the big one now? Are they ready?
These are big attacks.
No, they'll come to
who?
BLA.
BLA will come to White. I think these are the kind of attacks you'll see now. Now what we'll see is one attack in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, one attack in Balochistan. So one in this region, one in this region, one in this region, one. So Pakistan will be running from here to there to here. They will be running and stretching out. By the way, you just reminded me there is something another thing which has happened in Afghanistan today. The Afghan Taliban has de-armed and arrested the pro-Tajik commander Hamid Khorasani and arrested him because he was anti-Iran, which we'll come to later. So now you will see a coordinated attack. This is what I think what is happening. So his statement today to the Pashtuns saying that learn nationalism from them. Now imagine if there is an attack in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and in Balochistan simultaneously. Then what happens?
They've been doing that. Coordinated attacks to kar hi rahe hain log.
But of this scale, one of this scale.
Yeah, this has not happened. I mean, otherwise minor attacks ऊपर नीचे चलते रहते हैं. मैंने आपको बताया था ऊपर देखना नीचे देखना.
हाँ, तो वो ऊपर नीचे तो ये कर रहे हैं, but now imagine आप ऊपर भी ठोकेंगे और नीचे भी ठोकेंगे, एक साथ आ रहे हैं. But वो अभी नहीं होगा.
You mentioned Iran. Let's get into that because जो आज मैंने सुबह के एक अपडेट किया था इसके ऊपर कि भाई ईरान का केस क्या है पाकिस्तान के साथ. When was the deal signed? 2009 में साइन हुई, 2015 में होना था. एक्सटेंशन हुई अभी 2024 सितंबर तक इन्होंने टाइम दिया था. $18 billion is what Pakistan will need to pay Iran. ठीक है. On the same hand, one news comes that India and Iran have extended judicial cooperation with each other. You're like, yeah,
that is on the we have an extradition treaty with them, no? So it is more on finding the criminals, basically hunting down Pakistanis together, Pakistani ISIs, providing information, sharing information on them and their modus operandi and what they are planning to.
What about Indian health?
See, this Iran deal, this Iran deal, which the Pakistanis were trying to build, was coming at a golden era when Pakistan had a golden goose with it. That was when the war of terror was happening, right? The Pakistanis were getting front row at that time. At that time, they thought exactly what they thought with the Chinese. कि तालिबान आ जाएगा, हम सी पे कंट्रोल करेंगे, हम अफगानिस्तान को कंट्रोल करेंगे. Same way they thought that they'll bring this pipeline through Afghanistan into Pakistan. They'll make billions out of this. But they didn't calculate the geopolitical changes. They didn't calculate their relations with Iran. They didn't calculate what Taliban is going to do. And this pipeline failed. Because पहले तो Americans ने इसको आने नहीं दिया. ठीक है, the Pakistanis needed $American to build this pipeline. So ultimately it failed. And the Iranians, this is not the first time the Iranians have asked them for this $18 billion. This is the second time it has happened. The Iranians threatened them, I think, in 2020 or 2021 also to take them to International Court of Arbitration. We will take you for these $18 billion. There's already a case going on there. So this is the second attempt of Iran to put pressure on Pakistan.
Yeah, that case now they had done in March. What they did was they came to a settlement saying कि भाई ठीक है अभी Iran will not pursue it, but Pakistan will build the pipeline from the Iranian border to Gwadar, which was 81 kilometers rather than the 256 kilometers that it had to build. Right? So 81 kilometers बोला कि भाई हम इधर पे भेज देंगे, and they thought कि यहाँ से यार export कर देंगे कि इधर उधर चाइना को दे देंगे, इधर उधर दे देंगे, and संभाल लेंगे इसको.
वो इतना इजी नहीं है ना, वो पॉसिबल ही नहीं है. वो पॉसिबल इसलिए नहीं है क्योंकि Saudis are eyeing along with the Chinese the oil supplies in Balochistan.
Yeah.
6 million metric tons of diesel and oil. So Saudis don't want the Iranians to get that pipeline into Pakistan or to go Gwadar at all. Gwadar anyway is a failed project, right? Gwadar तो जा रहा है, जिस हिसाब से लग रहा है या तो चाइनीज को पाकिस्तान में घुसना पड़ेगा या तो बाय बाय टाटा सी करना पड़ेगा. But now important is अगले 1-1.5 महीने में चाइना का रिस्पॉन्स क्या होगा बलूचिस्तान अटैक. Now will they push the button on Pakistan and say कि हमारा पैसा दो, immediately दो? रोल ओवर तो उन्होंने वैसे ही मना कर दिया. Will that happen?
That's the point. I mean, I don't think so.
Let's see.
I don't think so.
Let's see. You never know. Then what will Chinese do? Sit quietly? After listening to a whole fairy tale of a day of presentation, eating tikka kebabs and nothing, and in the evening getting a live demonstration of how poor the Pakistani army is, and they have been given a tuna again. तो चूने वाला पान दिन में खिला के शाम को चूना लगा दिया उनको, तो do you think the Chinese are still not going to say anything? The point is, how long are Chinese going to wait for it? How much patience China can show? Unless and until the Saudis have promised them that we will get into Balochistan and we will watch your interests and we'll
Nah,
take it away from Pakistan.
nah, bhai,
It's a
nah.
very long shot. नहीं हो रहा ना.
यार वो भी
So the point is, how long the Chinese are going to sit?
बिकॉज सऊदीज का इंटरेस्ट क्या है? अमेरिकन वेपन चाहिए उसको भाई. उसको
America is building a nuclear facility for them.
उसको अमेरिकन वेपन्स चाहिए, उसको इजरायली टेक्नोलॉजी चाहिए, उसको इजराइल के साथ नेटवर्क चाहिए, उसको आईमैक चाहिए, उसको मॉडर्नाइज होना है.
INTC को आगे, INTSC को आगे चलाना.
आईमैक.
That is what the whole IMEC, that is what the whole Iran thing is happening. See, the problem with Iran is that they have fallen off with the Chinese.
Yeah.
Right? Now, Iran is still under a Russian influence. The Chinese don't like it. And India is seen as an opportunity because of our relationship with Russia. And we have a good, and we are balancing that. Our trade is what? About $2.23 billion, $2.3 billion with the Iranians, not more than that, right? But the advantage of that trade, the strategic advantage of that trade is humongous. It's more than $5 billion. Because if you look at how we are using Chabar for Afghanistan, how that rail line the Iranians are trying to build, linking this port into the Central Asian, how that line is going to work, right? And how Gwadar has fallen flat on its face. The Gwadar was supposed to have a capacity of 400 million metric tons per year by 2030. By 2030, I don't see any Gwadar. I see Balochistan gone from Pakistan completely.
You tweeted that, now who will be the prime minister in the next 5 years?
I actually, I very genuinely wanted to know how will the people react? Who do they see? And I'm surprised. Not many votes, about 300 votes, but I'm surprised at the answer. 40% of people, 42% of people think it's Imran Khan. And mind you, these are a lot of people in Pakistan have told this, and I know that.
Imran Khan ka
so
gaya.
that only tells us what is that it's
1 second. That only tells us.
So that only tells us that what we are thinking in next 5 years on Pakistan is actually bang on target. That is exactly what is going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be boastful, but pretty much hitting the nail. I mean, either thoda sa hai, but see, one of the things, last thing that I'll ask you before we get into audience questions, guys, please hit the like button by that time. Close to 3,000 people watching, yaar, thoda like to daba do jor se. ठीक है? We'll come to your questions after this. The point overall, if you look at Pakistan, is that देखो यार, आर्मी इनके पास 6 लाख है, तुम्हारी रिक्रूटमेंट कहाँ से होगी इस टाइम पे? पश्तून तो बोलेगा साहब मैं नहीं जा रहा यार, पता नहीं, वो भी बोलता है शरिया, ये भी बोलते हैं शरिया, लेकिन आपस में लड़ी जा रहे हैं गधों की तरह. Some guy is gonna put that thought through and say, यार, what's wrong with both of you? You both want the same thing. Just stop fighting. The Pakistani army purports Sharia. At some point of time, do you think them coming to sit down and saying, yaar, let's stop fighting? तेरे को भी ये चाहिए, मेरे को भी ये चाहिए, because Pakistanis are known for making these stupid adjustments. That is my only critical point. कि ठीक है, तुमको ये KPK चाहिए ना, रखो. ज़्यादा उछल कूद मत करो, हम तुमको कुछ नहीं बोलेंगे, तुम हमको कुछ मत बोलो, sort of thing. They are very capable of doing it.
That is what Imran Khan was capable of doing. That is exactly what Imran Khan was doing. But the Pakistani generals are not going to do that. The Pakistani generals hold the supreme command. The moment they sit down and say, we are fighting for the same thing, no, they are not fighting for the same thing. The Pakistani general is not fighting for Sharia. He's a whiskey-trotting general who sits everywhere, has his whiskey in the evening. He's fighting for himself. He doesn't give two Fs, I'm sorry to use that word, about Sharia. The Sharia is only important to him in Afghanistan. His wife will murder him यार रात को अगर उसको बोला कि तुमको बाजवा की बेटी को तुम बोलोगे बुर्का पहनना है उसकी ग्रैंड डॉटर को वो मिनी स्कर्ट पहन के पार्टीज करती है वो दादे को छुरी से काट देगी बोलेगी क्या बकवास their children will rebel against them and start killing them saying that what nonsense because they're so westernized in their own thoughts and in their own models. So the Pakistani journal has a Sharia as a tool to keep his supremacy on in Pakistan. The Pakistani journal is fine. Asim Munir is Hafiz Quran.
but Hafiz जिसकी भी तो है.
But does that does that stop him from not doing corruption?
No. He is the only non-corrupt general that has ever come to Pakistan.
That's every journal says unless until he doesn't go out. Once he goes out, then whole details come around. We all know how honest he is. Nobody is honest in Pakistan. The Pakistan establishment is extremely dishonest.
Lastly, I was talking about that India-Iran thing. Somewhere down the line, I think they will look for Indian help to kind of work around the French arbitration court. It's going to be
the Iranians are stuck, right? The Iranians are playing a very dangerous game, and that game is the one they are playing in the Middle East. They're supporting all these terror organizations, right? It was Ayatollah Khomeini basically who rejected the first proposal to fight Iran to join the Caliphate fight by these Hizb ut-Tahrir guys. They had sent this proposal to him, but it seems like now that these people have picked up on that proposal. And that explains what Iran is doing with the Sunni militia. So Iran is playing a very, very dangerous game. And so is Qatar. The Qatar is basically bankrolling them. They're the white collar ones. The Iran is actually the one who's getting his hands dirty in this. And look, I look at the India-Iran relationships as not something, as a mutual benefit kind of a thing. If we have a good terms with them, good. If we don't have good terms with them, no good. But if you remember, till Pahlavi Raza was there, he was very pro-Pakistan. Even on Kashmir, he was pro-Pakistan and Pakistan stand. It's only this Islamic regime of Iran which is not pro-Kashmir, and they have balanced out with India.
Ammunition भेजी थी यार.
हाँ, वही मैं कह रहा हूँ. उसने ammunition भी भेजा. But this Islamist regime is the one which has actually backed down from that stand, and they have had problems with the Pakistanis. And they are the ones who have looked at normalizing relations with India to a large extent. So I think it's something which suits both countries. It's something which is also countering the rabid Pakistanis in the region. And it's to hold their own supremacy in the region. The Iranians want to hold their fair share. And they want to have as many levers as they can have on Pakistan. So basically, friendship with India is one of the biggest levers you can have when you're fighting Pakistan.
और पाकिस्तानियों को तो the main thing that पाकिस्तानी को डर लगता है कि भाई को बोल दे राह की साजिश है. हम तो मजाक करते हैं इनके साथ. But for them, honestly telling you, they actually believe all sorts of jokes that we crack on them कि ये तो राह ने कर दिया, ये तो राह ने कर दिया, ये तो राह ने कर दिया.
See, the problem with Pakistan is it's a diminishing, dwindling society. I was looking at their education. Their education is a mess. The grants they give is 1.7 of the total GDP is what goes to their education. Most of the people who are into 11th, 10th, 11th, 12th are not even literate, cannot even write 4 lines. So feed them any narrative, they are going to live by that narrative.
हम तो राह की साजिश कर रहे हैं.
So that is why they love Imran Khan for Madine ki riyasat, the churan he sold, and they are listening to this churan of Pakistani army of Raah ki sajish. And this is what I've told, this is what I've told umpteen times. If everything in Pakistan is happening at the behest of Raah, please surrender. Because you people are incapable, you cannot do anything, you have lost it. that we can trigger smallest of the incidents in Pakistan, then you need to just abjectly surrender and say, "Yaar, hamare bas ki nahi."
Why
Then what are you holding your army, glorifying your army to ISI to such extent? Because
the
inside you have been finished up by raw.
the interior minister of Balochistan today said, "ये raw ने कराया है."
Interior Minister of Balochistan can say, "ठीक है, what proof do they have?" No proof. The problem is, see, everything has to be blamed onto India for the start. That India is the fuel which keeps this Pakistan establishment alive. जिस दिन आप इंडिया पाकिस्तान के नैरेटिव से बाहर निकाल दोगे, पाकिस्तानी एस्टैब्लिशमेंट ऐसे गिरेगी, क्योंकि उनके पास उसके बाद तो बचेगा नहीं. Right? So they are never going to say the Asli Muslim Momins are killing us. उनको तो बोलना है बेचारों को, उनकी तो मजबूरी है, क्योंकि उसी पे उनका घर चलता है, उसी पे उनका राशन चलता है, उसी पे उन्होंने पूरे पाकिस्तान को हॉस्टेज बना के रखा है. The whole Pakistan society is hostage to the India narrative, and the sooner the Pakistani people realize it, the better. The establishment is holding every one of them as a hostage.
I mean, but I must give one suggestion to the Pakistani establishment. यार जो भी करो, तुम अपना ना फॉरेन मिनिस्ट्री या किसी का स्पोक्स पर्सन राशिद, वो क्या है वो मोटा सिगार पीने वाला शेख राशिद को बनाओ यार. I mean, उसकी वो पाव पाव के बम ये वो एटलीस्ट यू नो वी यूज्ड टू गेट सम एंटरटेनमेंट. आजकल पता नहीं किसको लगा रखा है, वो बोलता ही नहीं है कुछ. एटलीस्ट दैट गाय वाज एक्टिव सिगार.
He is a complete entertainer. Do you know he is the only guy who fled Pakistan when Pakistan tested their nuclear weapons?
क्यों?
Among the politicians. Because he said, क्या पता कहीं फट गया तो हमारा क्या होगा, अंदर ही फट गया कुछ क्या होगा. He is on record saying it. He fled to London a night before Pakistan tested its nuclear weapons because he didn't believe that they will be successful. He said, if it is unsuccessful, what are we going to do about it? He's on record. He's on TV. Yeah, I'm not saying this.
I didn't know that.
उसका इंटरव्यू है. उसको पूछा उन्होंने कि आप लंदन क्यों चले गए, बोला अगर अंदर ही फट जाता तो क्या होता, किसी को तो मुल्क में बचना था ना, इसलिए मैं लंदन चला.
I have to find this यार. I have to find this interview. मैं ढूंढूंगा. मैं अपना पूरा कल मैं ट्रैवल कर रहा हूँ. I'm going to make it my life's mission to find that.
I'll help you in that. I'll try to dig it out and send it over to you. Sheikh Rashid saying that.
I want to make my life's mission to find that interview and him saying that, because yeah, I missed
I'll find it for you.
What I missed is the stupidity. जब से ये आसिम मुनीर आया ना, बेवकूफी के ऑन अ लाइटर नोट, इनके जो डायलॉग आते थे ना फालतू के, क्या वो था उनका जो आईएसकेपी वाला, सॉरी आईएसपीआर वाला था इनका, गफूर, स्लीप टाइट
आसिम गफूर. Sleep tight, Pakistani forces watching your body, right? Oh, you know, the only honest ever.
Oh, okay. Once again, I knew something got disconnected. Anyways, guys, he'll come back, but please like करिए वीडियो को, सब्सक्राइब करिए चैनल को. इसके बाद we will get into some questions also, and of course, as I said, मैं कल 1-2 दिन के लिए ट्रैवल कर रहा हूँ, but of course, वीडियोस तो चलते रहेंगे, वो सब चलता रहेगा. सैटरडे आफ्टरनून को एक बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग डिस्कशन होने वाला है चाइना पे, तो दैट आई विल शेयर विद यू. कल दोपहर में काफी सारे और चीजें हैं which I will give you as well. I have no problem. Let me just finish if you don't mind. मैंने कंवल सिब्बल साहब से इंटरव्यू किया है, who's the former foreign secretary, भारत, बांग्लादेश, and of course ये जो यूक्रेन का चक्कर है, इसके ऊपर मैंने इंटरव्यू किया है. So please do watch that tomorrow afternoon. हाँ जी, राजा साहब.
I was telling you that the only honest confession I've ever heard out of a Pakistani politician is that of Shahbaz Sharif.
We are not beggars.
When 2 years ago he was asked by the media, beggars are not choosers, you know, choosers. We are not. That is the only honest confession he has ever made to the Pakistani people, telling them that the reality of Pakistan, what Pakistan really is. That man is the PM of Pakistan today, but that is when he became the PM, and I think that is the most honest confession ever made by a Pakistan.
Awesome. let's get into questions, guys. Like, subscribe, and as I was telling you guys, I'm going to be traveling, so I'll be back on base, of course, Monday afternoon. But podcast चलते रहेंगे हमारे while traveling also. You guys know I do my podcast, तो वो तो चलता रहेगा. But you guys will not see this background. That's all. And most importantly, आप लोग इस चैनल की तरफ contribute कर सकते हैं using the QR code or PayPal, which is in the description for direct contributions, or super stickers, super chats, or members. Let's see what you guys have to say. सबसे पहले let me just acknowledge a couple of members. Jai Bharat, Rahul Kohli ji, and G Shankar. Thank you so much for becoming members. Gauri ji says, Namaste Aadi ji, great work. Looking forward to meeting you in the TJD annual summit. Thank you. Thank you so much. Mihir ji, thank you. Thought provocator साहब कहते हैं पाकिस्तानी देश के लिए नहीं कैश के लिए भी मरे हैं.
तो कैश के लिए ही मरते हैं. It's actually a very good statement you have made.
Yeah. And Sarvani ji is the super lady today who has gifted 5 memberships to people. Thank you so much, and give a shout out to Sarvani ji. Tara ji says, Raja sir, the Pakistanis are facing such internal crisis, but they are sending militants in J&K. How?
See, the Pakistani terror industry doesn't work with the Pakistani economy. The terror industry has a different funding and it's completely a different economy. The terror economy is parallel economy of Pakistan, which is 3 times bigger than the Pakistani economy. Please understand this. 1. 2. The Pakistanis will keep on sending terrorists into Kashmir even if Pakistan is on its last breath. Even if Pakistan is on a ventilator, it will still manage to send them to Kashmir because, as I said, the whole idea of Pakistani establishment is anti-India. That is what Pakistan is all about. That is what the Pakistan as a country is all about. That is what they exist on. That is what they survive on. So that is what the Pakistanis will keep on doing, unfortunately.
Amazing, right? Not funny. All right. Next question. 1 second. Yeah, I missed my place, man. Sarvani ji, once again, thank you. You say hypothetically in the future, if Afghanistan shares a border with us, will they not act like Pakistan? They're also expansionists. We should have a vassal countries obeying us.
See, the Afghanis have not shown any trait to be as dumb and as stupid as the Pakistanis. Let me be very categorically clear. Also, Taliban has shown a great restraint in maintaining diplomatic relationships across. Right? Whether it is, more than an enemy towards us, they should have more animosity towards the Iranians, which are basically the Shias. But today they have made sure that the anti-Shia Taliban commander is put behind bars. So I don't see it as a very alarming situation. And, by the time they reach our borders, a lot would have happened in this area. It's not that they are going to reach our borders. There's a lot of area which we might also be taking away from them. And there could be a buffer zone between the two as well. So there are a lot of permutations and combinations which are going to come out when the situation comes to that, push comes to shove. But for now, the Taliban is showing great restraint and they are showing a lot more maturity than what the Pakistanis in their entire lives have displayed.
That's true. Sir, who gives, RJG, thank you. You say, sir, who gives the weapons to TTP BLA?
Well, there's a lot of weapons which the Americans left behind in Afghanistan. So once you have a weapons hall there, and then if you know about Dera is where they manufacture a lot of weapons and they're very cheap actually, not very expensive. So there is a huge gun market of South Asia where, and Dera is one of the biggest markets of gun producing. So that's where they get their ammunition.
Yeah. Raj Dhaliwalji, thank you. Adiji, do a show on Bohemian Club and Bohemian Grove when you have the time. It'll be interesting to get an Indian outlook. And if this happens in India, sure, I'll do that. Loop Bloke, thank you so much. Russia has barely used its arsenal, relying on mostly older weapons and cheap imports. They are ready for a full-scale NATO conflict, and US is pushing them to reveal their advanced military tech. Yeah, well, it's a depressing scenario how these guys are doing stuff. It's not funny.
It's a what is happening also is you have to understand that, with Ukraine, the NATO is softening up Russia to some extent as well, right? And the Russians are using, yes, they're using their older weapons, but then, there comes a point where the Russians have to use their latest weapons as well. By the way, one of the F-16s have been downed in Ukraine today. They said the pilot lost control while landing. But we have to confirm it and see whether it was downed by the Russians or it's actually a plane crash.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Today evening it has happened. They're reporting that while landing, the pilot lost control. He was a previous MiG-29 fighter pilot who lost control and then the plane crashed. We don't know. Maybe the Russians downed the F-16. Because Russians have put a huge bounty on the F-16, saying that the first pilot who downs it is going to get very
$1
rich.
million. Yeah, $1 million equivalent.
More $1 million and plus all that recognition, state hero.
तो वो hero of Russia बना देते हैं. Hero of Russia बना देते हैं.
Hero of Russia बना देते हैं ना. तो their life changes basically.
Norman Sheikh Saab is here with us. Why don't you put in your question? We will take it here. Question to Dalo Saab. Ragnarok Saab says, even if 10% of what's happening in Pakistan would be happening in India in terms of army casualties, the media will portray us as a failed state. That's true.
Very true. See, the problem with Pakistani media is as horrible and as disappointing as they are. The day Balochistan attacks happened, the lead in dawn was Israel mein itne log mar gaye. And then the second lead was something happened in India, some Bollywood shit.
India and Bangladesh.
And third lead was something, some shit, some irrelevant news, right? The Pakistani media doesn't even talk about their own men. The Pakistani media doesn't even, give space to the problems they have internally. If you look at the economic problems of Pakistan and you look at their media coverage, you think that Pakistan is going to be a diamond-rich country in coming 4 years, when actually they are begging on the streets. So Pakistani media is dismal. It's disappointing. It's dismal. It's a extended arm of Pakistani establishment, basically. And I don't blame them the way Pakistanis. You look at the vicinity of the Pakistanis. The DSP is missing from Adiala jail. DSP is missing, right? The wife went to Lahore High Court to say that find my husband. He's missing because he was taken by the ISI. And now they have given a notice to his wife saying that vacate your house. The government house. She's 8 or 9 months pregnant.
Yeah.
This is a serving police officer. Imagine this happening in India. Can you even imagine? Never. Army utha ke le gayi usko. And the court is helpless. They can't find him. This is the state of affairs of Pakistan. This is how Pakistani state actually operates.
Okay. Infected 420. Thank you for this interesting question. Actually, after for argument's sake, after Bannu and 102, can BLA replicate in Rawalpindi and add Muni to 102? Take over whole Pakistan. Why only Balochistan?
See, the point is, it's not going to happen unless and until the Pakistanis really escalate. Then you will see them coming down. I've already spoken about this, that it's a ladder of escalation which the Balochis or the TTP will walk once Pakistan raises that ladder of escalation. So I don't think the Balochis are going, or because that will swing the public opinion. Once they come into the mainland, they're trying to come into Rawalpindi or Quetta, trying the Rawalpindi, Peshawar ki taraf. There are going to be a lot of these are highly dense civilian populations. There's going to be a lot of civilian casualty. So that will swing the favor. So I don't think they are going to do that. This will only happen if Pakistan ups the ante and increases the escalation ladder. Then you will see a response coming into Peshawar or something.
True. Agatya ji says, Muneeb sir and Aadi bhaiya, the level of loss China is taking now in the game, do you think that this could make them desperate to take a hasty action? That's the worry.
See, depends on what hasty action we are talking about and where are they going to take the hasty action. Because stepping in, putting your boots in Pakistan is, everybody knows what happens there, right? The Chinese will get bogged down there. The economy is down. They're not doing well. Then they have a trouble now from Bangladesh and, in the Strait of Malacca. They have to forego Taiwan completely. So for the Chinese, it's a very, very difficult call to make. And completely giving up Gwadar is going to kill their BRI. And if BRI gets killed, then Jeeping goes. is over. So it's a very difficult position for China to, sort of navigate through these rough waters. So that's why they are waiting and watching what is going to be the worst thing which is going to happen.
RJ, I don't know what this means. Thank you so much for your contribution, but I really don't know what this means. So if you
We
can let me
don't
know what that
understand
means.
the question. No, sorry.
कौन सा कोड में लिखा है पता नहीं.
Yeah,
Aadi ji and Radha ji, do you think Pakistani
can't
army is not
understand.
well trained?
No, they are not. To be honest, they are not well trained. See, the Pakistani army could be trained for conventional warfare, but Pakistani army and its ancillary forces are certainly not trained for, uh, you know, asymmetrical warfare. We have seen time and again that the Pakistani army is not able to perform when it comes to these kind of operation. To insurgency, Pakistanis are very badly trained, extremely badly trained. So there was an interesting comment somebody put on Twitter the other day, and I really liked that comment, and I think it was very real. It came from a Pakistani account. The Pakistani said, and he pointed it at India, which I didn't mind, saying that when Raw and Modi ji was planning this operation Balochistan, the Pakistani generals were sitting in their home planning a political operation and looking into people's houses.
That was a joke, actually.
I really like that comment because that is what.
Yeah.
No, actually, that is true. Because if the Pakistani focus on internal politics and managing politics of the country is far more than managing the internal security of the country. Half of their resources are after their own politicians and trying to spy on them and trying to see what nitty-gritty is going to work out and how we're going to stay in power in Pakistan. Not even half of the brains go into their national security and think that how we are going to protect Pakistan from what is happening in Pakistan. It was meant to be a joke, but there's a lot of truth behind that joke. I completely agree with that person.
Okay. Alpha Beta, what's going on with ISI? Suddenly, handlers are targeting railway infrastructure here.
Obviously, they will. See, the point is, how do you fight your adversary? And this is not only the ISI thing. It is somewhere there is a lot of political hegemony happening behind the scenes as well, right? There is a huge attempt to make sure that Modi government is a failure, and they are desperate to go to sabotage, which is they're sabotaging national security. They don't even care about people's lives. And these are our own men sitting out there. I was reading about an incident today where a guy is the son of some political
Farmer leader.
Farmer leader or something, and so you are going to that extent against your own people. That tells you how poisonous your mind is and how desperate you are for power. So it's a culmination of a couple of things. It's not the ISI is using it. ISI is fueling the ideas to these people sitting here. It's a very bad situation, trust me.
Yeah.
It's not a good thing.
Blue Bloke, thank you so much for that, for becoming a member. Batraji says BLA is increasing its scope and area of operation. My question is, BLA preparing for a final takeover of territory, or that goal is still far away and BLA will keep chipping at the Pakistani army?
See, they cannot take over the territory because they don't have the men to hold the territory. Right? The territory is huge. Balochistan, if you look at the population and the area exceeds population by miles and miles, right? So they'll keep on chipping away the Pakistani army. And what will happen is the final chip will happen, which will happen together from KPK and then to Balochistan. The whole area will be cut off. Pakistanis will lose. But that will only happen when the KPK goes up in flames.
Shailendra Gaurji says, seems like US-Israel support is the cut. No, is the cut routes
Is
to cut
of
routes
supply to Iran.
Capture Quetta in the future target. Your views are the 126 resharing your all podcasts have shared. Thank you so much. But yeah, I mean, I've been saying that US's target is Balochistan and they want to this thing. A lot of people have disagreed in the over time, but I think USA's main target is Balochistan. They would want that to be separated out, create a base or something over there, and then operate out of it.
See, the Americans would never want the Chinese have a firm hold on Guada. It's as clear as daylight, right? And the Americans will do anything and everything to make sure that happens. The Chinese don't get the absolute control. And if the, they have to, do what they're doing in Balochistan or they're doing in other neighborhoods, that is what they are prepared to do. Look at the way they're dealing with Afghan Taliban, with tacitly supporting them against the Pakistanis, and look at the way TTP is behaving against the Pakistanis. So look, they might come down to Quetta. They also want to come down to Iran. They came up with that ambitious project of ISKP. They paid some $100 million for it, but the Pakistanis were not able to gather enough men. That is what I'm hearing, that Pakistanis have not been able to gather enough men onto that. That project is still going on and they don't have a huge recruitment happening. That is why that African trip is very important, because now they are looking at ways of getting these Africans to fight in Pakistan, to fight these guys off. But that's still far away, because what is happening in Burkina Faso and in Ethiopia, it's a travesty. Nobody's talking about it, but it's bad. Africa is very, very bad.
Chad, Burkina
Right?
Faso, Ethiopia.
Oh, it's horrible. I mean, people are dying in hundreds every day, almost every other day. But nobody talks about them because they are the lesser mortals, unfortunately. That's what people think. So I think the Americans are going to keep this game open. And look, if they get Balochistan, then effectively China is checkmated on all fronts, because then you are insulting China. And not only China, then you are also insulting Russia. You're cutting Russian influence.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
So
Rajesh ji says, is the judicial cooperation with Iran related to help through giving Harish Salve some good legal remuneration to fight the case of arbitration? Why not?
Could be, but why not? But I don't think so, because which case of arbitration are we talking about? Are we talking about the 18 billion wala? I don't think they will involve an Indian lawyer into it. I think they will do it on themselves. It has got more to do with the security corporation on the ISI modules, and identifying and informing on the ISI modules working in Central Asia and in Middle East.
Yeah.
It's more to do with ISKP.
Narayan Saab कहते हैं which will fall first, KP or Balochistan?
KP.
Everybody thought KP, but I still think Balochistan will go. पता नहीं. Americans हैं यार.
KP.
Americans बोलेंगे.
No, but unless until you don't have control of KP, how would you get into Balochistan? TTP needs control of Balochistan, KP completely. For them to cut off into Balochistan.
That is true.
Tactically, it has to be that way.
Yeah. Do you think Iran is garnering support base in its emerging neighborhood? Also, India can really trust Iran?
See, the point is, where you can trust them is where the trade is and the money is involved, right? So yes, there is a relationship which is a working relationship. The Iranian relationship is a working relationship, and then there is some trust factor built onto it as well, because we have been able to hold on to the bargains which we have promised them. So yes, that trust builds over time, and we are able to do that with the Iranians. We have that trust factor with us, right? So I don't think there is a problem.
So
and can we trust Iran? Look, for now we are trusting them, and they have.
Yeah. Iran is not, after especially the Shah, they've not done stupid things to us. Before the Shah, they've done a lot of nonsense to us. So, last time you said Pakis have occupied Afghan border post in Wakhan. That's not true. No, not in Afghan border post. Pakis have not occupied anything. Have they?
Yeah. They did. There is one post the Pakistanis did. It's not a fake news. They did that. Adil Numan's question. So, Wakhan में नीचे मुझे जगह का नाम भूल गया. The Pakistanis actually took it by surprise from the Talibanis, and the Talibanis encircled them. I told you there's a fighting going on. जब उन्हें वो border बंद कर दिया.
अच्छा, okay. Yeah, okay.
So there is जब वो border बंद, you remember? So yes, the Pakistanis did, and then the Pakistanis got it back, and then the Afghan Taliban got it back.
Okay.
It's not fake news, it's true. It happened.
Evening, Oais Shah Oais, asked unconfirmed reports that a top military brass has disarmed one army battalion. Do you know? It's a little mystery, but
if it is Which army battalion are you talking about? There was one they did last time in 111, where that brigadier was called, but that was long time ago. I don't know which one you're talking about. I don't think they've disarmed anybody. I don't know, but we'll have to find out and come back to you. I really don't know about this.
Yeah, I mean,
I have
you
not
can
seen any
obviously.
report. I have not heard any chatter. So this is news to me. Maybe news to me. I don't know when this is.
Hey, ये एक और आया है not three rider. Thank you. You say what is your thought on US using Balochistan to counter Iran's backdoor? What can India take as a benefit out of this? Same question on Bangladesh.
Same question in Bangladesh, as in, you mean to say that
What will
what are
US
we
get?
going to get out of?
नहीं, what will the US get out of Balochistan to counter Iran?
See, you have to understand that Balochistan, a large part of Balochistan is under Iran also. Sistan, Balochistan area falls under Iran also, right? And then some of it falls into Pakistan. The US doesn't want Iranians or the Chinese to have complete access either to the border port or in that area. The Iranians are not capable of it, but they don't want the
Hmm.
Chinese to it because then the Chinese immediately threaten them, right? So the Americans want one to make sure that Gwadar as a port doesn't pick up. Two, the whole game of ISKP, which we have been talking about, and we have done a whole podcast onto it, is to keep Iranians under check because for Americans, keeping Iranian check in their own backyard is very, very important. Sistan, Balochistan is the backyard of Iran. And the Americans would like to disrupt it as much as it can for them to take the pressure off into the Middle East of the Iranian increasing hegemony and influence right into Iraq and into other areas, into Syria also. So they are creating these pockets in Balochistan where they will then engage Iran and bleed them out.
Hmm.
Now, when it comes to Bangladesh, the target is China. The larger target is China, and the smaller target is India. And the game is very similar. They will keep a check on the Indians, and they will be sitting in the backyard of the Chinese. Because please remember that this game is not stopping in Bangladesh. Bangladesh is just a beginning. Watch for Myanmar. That's where everything will explode.
It's
And
already happening.
Bangladesh is the start of it.
Yeah, yeah, it's
It will
already
explode.
exploding. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Chinese to have
that
lost
is
the
where
game
the
in
whole
Myanmar.
thing
There's no
starts.
question.
The Chinese
Right,
are
sir?
doing a
Thank.
live exercise, live round funding
Yeah.
very soon on the border. So
हाँ, मजा आने वाला है.
they're preparing that,
Myanmar is
sir.
going to be
So वही है ना, कहाँ कहाँ जाएंगे? Will they save Myanmar? Will they run to Gwadar? Will they run to Taiwan? Where are they going to run? How stretched Chinese are going to be? That
yeah.
is why we are not seeing a response by the Chinese. But how long is the question?
Awesome. Raja Saab, thank you so much, yaar, for firstly taking out the time, off our regular schedule. But this was an important subject क्योंकि बलूचिस्तान बड़ा critical position पे है अभी, and it's coming to a point where बोलते हैं ना point of no return पे, तो I think it's crossed already. So it's on that precipice जहाँ पर अभी major changes can actually happen going forward. But thank you so much and see you at the weekend. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you, sir. Jain, sir. Thank you so much.